McCarthy is going to miss the entire season with that torn meniscus. McCarthy underwent surgery for a full meniscus tear this morning. We cheers to Sam Darnold now, QB1.
Okay, I know everybody is about to meme me in the comment section right now because once again I said I'm going on vacation only to pull up in a dark hotel room in Spain just to bring you guys some very important football news. So go ahead and meme me for it, but this is something that I just couldn't skip out on because it's significant news, particularly if you're a Minnesota Vikings fan. And it's something that really bums me to even talk about given how excited I was for JJ McCarthy. But before we get to the content, we're giving away copies of Madden 25. All you have to do to enter is subscribe and turn on your notifications on this channel. And now that we get all that out of the way, work! NFL season's finally here and PrizePicks is hooking us up fat with a brand new deal. New users that make a lineup of $5 get $50 guaranteed. All you have to do is go to the link in the description down below, download PrizePicks, create an account, and use my promo code microphone to get $50 guaranteed when you make a lineup of $5 or more. I give away my picks each and every day on my Instagram account @TheFlightMike, and thank you PrizePicks for the sponsor. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? Out of every single rookie quarterback's performance in the very first week of the preseason, there isn't a player that dazzled us more than JJ McCarthy. And this man had a very interesting offseason to get here to begin with. I mean, even going all the way back to the NFL draft, fans were saying that JJ McCarthy was just a product of Jim Harbaugh's system in Michigan. And the fact that he just had to hand the football off multiple times throughout the game really disguised his weaknesses as a quarterback. McCarthy would take a late surge up draft boards in the NFL draft, and he would fall to the Minnesota Vikings in the 2024 NFL draft, which is a very sweet situation for any QB to fall into because the Vikings already signed Sam Darnold to a 1-year $10 million contract. The plan was for Sam Darnold to be a starter for an entire season, or maybe even a little bit less, have JJ McCarthy watch Sam Darnold and try to understand the nuances of Kevin O'Connell's offense, and then in year 2 he could potentially take over. I don't think that JJ McCarthy's development was going to be similar to what Jordan Love's development was going to be, or what the Atlanta Falcons envisioned for Michael Penix, where they already signed Kirk Cousins to a $40 million a year contract and then eventually plan on Kirk Cousins passing the baton to Michael Penix, which still to this day I think is a very questionable decision to say the least, considering Michael Penix's age and the fact that that was done with a top 10 pick when the Falcons had other pressing needs, but I digress. McCarthy was going to be the presumed starter at some point in the middle of the season or at the very latest after one season, and a brief look into McCarthy's week 1 performance for the Vikings in the preseason is really all you need to be able to determine this for yourself. Yes, JJ McCarthy threw an interception. It was a very simple read, but take a look at the way he reacted after throwing this interception.
What goes through your mind after that first interception?
What an opportunity, honestly. Like, you know, when things in this league, things are going to go bad. And it's your ability to respond and navigate those waters when it does happen. So just being able to have that goldfish memory, go back out there and just, you know, have that sling it mentality, which is, you know, what I needed.
And he didn't lie. Literally after throwing this interception, the man came out and started bawling out. My favorite pass by JJ McCarthy was he threw this beautiful pass to Tristan Jackson with the defender barreling into him as soon as he threw it. And of course, who could forget his viral touchdown pass that had Justin Jefferson going crazy on the sidelines? And how could he not be going crazy on the sidelines? This is your QB of the future. And it looks like the Minnesota Vikings hit on him, at least briefly in week 1. There's a lot of excitement for Vikings fans. There's a lot of excitement for JJ McCarthy fans, and even Kevin O'Connell had praise for McCarthy after week 1.
This guy is authentically himself every single day, brings a ton of juice and energy. Enthusiasm, and the guy works his tail off.
And I've said repeatedly on this channel that McCarthy had the best situation out of any QB in the NFL, even Caleb Williams, even Jaden Daniels. And it's simply because that although Caleb Williams has a remarkable situation with Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, and Rome Odunze to throw the football to, DeAndre Swift to hand the football off to, and Shane Waldron as his offensive coordinator, which I'm personally a fan of after what he was able to do with Geno Smith in Seattle, JJ McCarthy isn't necessarily in a rush to start. McCarthy has Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and TJ Hawkinson to throw the football to. A offensive-minded head coach that did wonders for Kirk Cousins last year before he got injured, and Aaron Jones to hand the football off to. And the beauty of this is he doesn't even need to start right away, so I thought McCarthy's situation was the best situation in the entire NFL. And the fact that he was dazzling during training camp and making pinpoint accurate passes while throwing with anticipation was just a bonus. He wasn't supposed to be this good this quickly. And of course, I understand this is training camp footage. I understand this is preseason footage, but at the same time, I expected McCarthy to be a little bit more raw going into preseason than what we saw in week 1. So there were questions about whether or not McCarthy could be the starter from the very gate. Could he be the week 1 starter for the Minnesota Vikings? Well, Kevin O'Connell never really promised that, but now it looks like he's not going to be starting at all for the Minnesota Vikings in week 1. And the way this went down is just so frustrating as a football fan. So originally we got a report that JJ McCarthy missed a practice with knee soreness, and it's not a big deal, just, you know, knee soreness. Maybe he needs to take some time off. Maybe tomorrow he'll feel a little bit better. On Tuesday, he missed practice again with knee soreness, and tests revealed a meniscus issue that he'll undergo surgery for, per Ian Rappaport and Tom Pelissaro. Rap Sheet took this time to remind us that Sam Darnold was the presumptive starter prior to training camp anyway, and he's in line to start week 1 regardless of which procedure JJ McCarthy gets. Now, at the time, this is what Rap Sheet had to say about the situation.
Well, let's go through the options that it's not really that the Minnesota Vikings have. You could do the meniscus trim, which is essentially cutting off a piece of the meniscus that is not perfect and sometimes, as you alluded to, can lead to long-term issues. It takes 4 to 6 weeks. Meniscus repair, it's generally months. Sometimes can be as much as 3 to 4 or even 5 months. More stable, better option. It seemed to be tracking that Sam Darnold was going to be the starter anyway for the Vikings.
So essentially, we had 2 options here. As with most meniscus surgeries, there will be a determination made during the procedure to either trim or repair. The trim would mean out a few weeks, the repair would be many months. And then we would find out on Wednesday afternoon, JJ McCarthy is going to be out for the entire season. Now, obviously, as a fan of football and as a fan of what I saw from JJ McCarthy so far, this is incredibly disappointing. But from the perspective of doing what's right by the player and making sure this player has a career where he's not going to have nagging injuries consistently, then it's certainly a necessary thing that needs to happen. Otherwise, this could be something that comes up multiple times throughout his career. Mike Garofalo also confirmed this, saying that the best move for long-term health, but it costs him his rookie season. It's a tough one for the Vikings QB of the future. It really sucks because we don't even get to see him perform in week 2 of the preseason now, and he had such a dominant week 1 in the preseason. It's like we got a little taste of what JJ McCarthy could be in a preseason game that didn't really matter. So you could throw any opportunity of him playing throughout the regular season out the window, but for all you know, this could be good for his development. Maybe the fact that he has this forced time off would allow him to focus more on learning the playbook, learning the offense, and working on other parts of his game. But I know personally, as a football fan, I really wanted to see him play as soon as possible. And now there's a question of how does this affect the Vikings season, because Sam Darnold is like the Jekyll and Hyde of QBs. On one hand, you could say that this man was placed in multiple terrible situations whenever he was handed the keys as the full-time starting QB to any franchise. I mean, the man was literally drafted to the Adam Gase New York Jets, and when the New York Jets actually had an opportunity to draft him a left tackle that could protect his blind side or draft him a legitimate wide receiver in the 2021 NFL draft, they decided to draft Zach Wilson instead, which was a horrible mistake. I said it now and I'll continue to say it. He gets traded to Carolina, where Matt Rule is his head coach. He has a very solid first few weeks of his career in Carolina, but then Christian McCaffrey gets injured, and then he reverts to the Adam Gase era Sam Darnold that we all know and love. Eventually, he goes to San Francisco, and he's the backup QB there, and there's this huge question of, is Sam Darnold who we think he is? Is he this quarterback that always makes the wrong decisions, always takes too many risks, always inevitably throws a head-scratching interception? Or was he just a product of poor circumstances, where his head coach is terrible? Was his surroundings terrible? Did he not have anyone to throw the football to really throughout his career? And I guess this is what we'll find out this year, because Sam Darnold could actually have a Baker Mayfield-like season this year if he plays really well. And he's in probably the greatest situation to perform really well for his entire career. You have the best wide receiver in football on your team. You have Jordan Jordan Addison and TJ Hawkinson. You have Aaron Jones as well, and you have your most brilliant head coach that you've ever played for as a starter. As a starter, 49ers fans, calm down. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this season goes for the Vikings. Let me know in the comment section down below how you feel about this if you're a Viking fan. And aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.